we're going to review the application guidelines for our JM White EPDM peel and stick flashing for TPO applications for a through-wall scupper. In this instance, the sheet metal has been installed through the opening and has had these flanges cut and bent with our JM single-ply sealing mastic installed behind the flanges, which has now been compressed with fasteners into the wall. The first step we want to take in our application guidelines for this detail is we want to clean the TPO field, flashing, and metal scupper for all areas that will receive the white flashing. It's important to know that we want to clean well beyond all areas that will receive TPO primer and flashing. After our membrane and metal has been cleaned, the next thing that we want to do is we want to pre-cut our pieces of flashing. We're going to flash this scupper detail with 4 pieces of flashing. It's important to note that when we cut our flashing, we need to have our flashing extend 3 inches minimum beyond the metal. Here we want our flashing to make a 1-inch minimum upturn, as well as extend inside of the scupper 2 inches. In this instance, we're going to be using our 9-inch white flashing to complete this detail. After our membrane, metal, and flashing has been cleaned, the next thing that we have to do is we have to install our JM TPO membrane primer. The first thing that we want to do with our primer is we want to ensure that our primer is thoroughly mixed. Once our primer has been mixed, the next thing that we'll do is we will put our piece of flashing, our first piece of flashing, into place where it'll be installed. And again, note that our flashing is extending 3 inches beyond the metal, as well as making an upturn by a minimum of 1 inch. After I put my flashing into place, I'll put a trace line approximately 1 inch outside of my flashing so that I know when I apply my membrane primer that my patch will be sitting fully in membrane primer. After all of our primer has been installed for our first piece of flashing, the next thing that we want to do is we want to allow the primer to properly flash before the installation of our white flashing. The last step that we have to take is we want to caulk the edges of our flashing with JM single ply LVOC white caulk.